Welcome to the Livin'Sky podcast, a show about raising connected, resilient kids in a world that often forgets what they need most. I'm Lena Livin'Sky, a pediatric speech-language pathologist, holistic feeding specialist, and a mom, here to help you understand your child's body, behavior, and biology in a whole new way. Each episode brings you simple, practical tools to support healthy eating, development, and family connection without the overwhelm. Thanks for listening. I'm so glad you're here. Let's dive in. My guest today is Dhana Cohen. She is the executive director of Apraxia Voice, a nonprofit organization dedicated to expanding awareness, education, and whole child support for families navigating childhood apraxia of speech. With over 30 years of experience in marketing and advertising, Dhana spent her career helping organizations tell meaningful stories and build impactful communities. Her path shifted personally when she became the proud grandmother of a child with apraxia, an experience that opened her eyes to the gaps in care, understanding, and support available to families. Driven by both love and advocacy, Dhana founded Apraxia Voice to explore and elevate a more comprehensive approach to apraxia, one that looks beyond speech alone and considers the child's nervous system, motor planning, nutrition, movement, and overall well-being. Under her leadership, Apraxia Voice brings together clinicians, practitioners, and families to uncover missing links and empower parents with education that complements traditional speech therapy. Yana, welcome to the Livin'Sky
Thank
podcast.
you, Lena. So good to be here. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited for this chat.
I know, me as well. Me as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So, your journey into working with childhood apraxia began as a grandmother of a child with apraxia. So, can you share what that first realization was like for you and how it shifted your perspective on both the condition and the care available for families?
Sure. So my late husband and I have two grandsons, one who's current now 10, and one who's 8. And when the 8-year-old wasn't hitting milestones with speech, we always said, or my husband really said, he's letting his brother speak for him and he'll catch up. And that's what we thought. And that's what our daughter thought. And so it took her and her husband a while because it was during COVID. But, the realization as a family, and obviously for them, it's shocking because you don't know what the outcome of their full life is going to look. Are they going to be able to live on their own? Are they going to have struggles with friends and peers? Are they going to, not make those community relationships that are so valuable? And so with that, it was just a small stepping stone, like many families where you learn one thing and then you learn something else. And I think that's initially, obviously, we were just there to support our kids and not make any a judgment or because we didn't even know what apraxia was.
Yeah. And at what age was he diagnosed?
I want to say around 3.5. I don't think quite 4, but it wasn't, he wasn't speaking. It was pretty obvious that it was something, not a nothing.
Yeah. So, for parents who are hearing the word or the term for the first time, how do you explain childhood apraxia of speech in a way that actually makes sense and doesn't feel overwhelming?
So what they say, it's a neurological condition that the brain was not developed to send signals to the mouth, tongue, and jaw to form words. So children have to learn one syllable, one consonant at a time with intense speech therapy. And that's the protocol that's out there, as you know.
Yes, yes, it is very much speech based at this point. It's rare to actually look at this whole child lens. So it's very exciting that you're trying to bring that conversation to the forefront. So, Apraxia Voice, let's talk about that. It takes a holistic approach that integrates body based therapies like craniosacral, fascial therapy, and myofascial release alongside traditional speech support and this root cause approach. So, how did you become convinced that these holistic modalities could play a significant role in supporting speech outcomes?
Well, first, it's my own personal way of living. I live a much cleaner life than other people that I know. I choose to believe in whole foods, organic, no or very little highly processed foods. So I cook that way, I eat that way, and I've done research for years before our grandson was diagnosed, just for my own well being. And then I had a conversation with my daughter because I was doing myofascial release on myself after an injury, and I thought it was so amazing to have it done to me and to feel a different way and to feel the release of my body because I have a very tense body anyway. And I had what I thought was fibromyalgia, which in fact, I don't think I ever did. By changing my diet, I mean, and maybe fibromyalgia is, just something that is caused by inflammation. So therefore, I stopped having it because I changed the way I ate and then also incorporating this myofascial release. And so I was on having a conversation with my daughter about it, and she mentioned a friend of hers in Florida whose child was having seizures, and they brought in a specialist to their home every day for a period of time. And the daughter also was not speaking at that time. And her seizures went away from my understanding, and her speech started appearing. So I just took a huge deep dive into learning about how it could help speech outcomes. And my daughter and I talked about it. Like maybe there are other ways of supporting kids with apraxia to, I don't know if it's speed along their outcomes, but I believe that with support of speech, which is critical, yes, speed along with these two modalities.
Yeah. I mean, I clearly have very similar views as you, which is why we connected. And I'm also part of the Apraxia Voice team. But I couldn't agree more. I think there's so many things we can do for our kids outside of that traditional treatment model that can really make a difference in their development and catching up on some of these milestones and sometimes going into remission, right? Just completely losing that diagnosis, which is what happened to Tori's son, who was on the podcast earlier. So there's definitely a lot that can be done. And I love talking about this because sometimes I think having a diagnosis such as apraxia or autism, it can feel hopeless.
Right.
And I think having these conversations and the more people hear about it, it can make parents realize that there's so much they can do. And it doesn't have to be this intensive thing. It could be small things they can change at home that can make a big difference,
Correct.
even. Yeah, so that's incredible about your friend's daughter.
Yeah.
Her diagnosis was just apraxia, or what was her initial
My daughter's friend's daughter had seizures, but they didn't even understand where those seizures were coming from and also speech delays.
That's so fascinating. So one of the pillars of Apraxia Voice is awareness and advocacy. So what are some of the most significant misconceptions about apraxia of speech that you encounter, and how are you addressing them through your work?
Well, I think it steps for apraxia, right? It's children that just aren't speaking. And then how do they get diagnosed? And I think the biggest problem, you and I talked about it before, is there isn't a test that is really universal for apraxia. So I think if we can come together as a community, and you're a speech and language pathologist, like if there's a way that we can advocate for this diagnosis, can it be diagnosed earlier? Can they start speech earlier and therefore start other things like functional health protocols, myofascial release, myofunction? So our advocacy will always be to get the word out and to team up with other thought leaders in the industry to really make a difference and to change the conversation to the whole child. Tori, another board member, she had incredible access or success with her son, Jake. So let's start the conversation, continue it, do things like this podcast to get these folks and these parents who are scared to maybe just think differently. And like you said, it's not going to be big changes, it's going to be small changes.
Yeah, that feel manageable, and I think that's important for many parents. Yeah, and doesn't mean you have to overhaul your entire life and just change everything and move. Like, they can be little things you do at home to support your child to progress and to feel better and detox and just lower their toxic load, which often contributes these developmental delays.
Sure.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I think it would be incredible to have a way of diagnosing apraxia earlier. I also think there's just not enough awareness about it out there. Like, even for me as a speech pathologist, yes, I learned about it in school, but I don't think I learned enough information and I didn't have enough exposure in my work because I focused so much on feeding to actually call myself an expert or in any way the right person to come to if you are diagnosed with apraxia of speech. I can probably do the basics, but I would want for these kids to have like a really well-rounded protocol and testing options so they can be discovered earlier and helped on a different level.
I
Definitely. So you're gearing up to launch a functional health education program through Apraxia Voice.
Yes,
Can you
we are.
share your vision for this program? What gap you're hoping it fills for families navigating childhood apraxia, and who you see as the ideal participant for this?
Sure. So here in Arizona, we went out and searched for a grant, and we were able to get it through K2 Adventures. And what they do is they support other children based nonprofits with education, or there's other pillars within their organization. So we knew that we had to come up with something that was very educational focused. You know, you're a mom. I'm a mom. I mean, my kids are older, and even my 29-year-old will say, "Oh, mom, what you think is healthy is crazy." Well, how about we start from the beginning? So we're going to try and find families. So if your families that are out there that are struggling with picky eating and your kids just don't eat what you know and your heart is good for them from the earth, from the soil, from God, like let's find a way to educate you on that. Even, chips are not good. Even though they fill their belly, they're not filling their supporting their gut biome. So we're going to take this functional health educational program, and Lena, who's a picky eating specialist, Tori, who is our holistic health practitioner, and Dr. Sorelli, who's our functional health doctor. And we're going to put this group of incredibly strong experts to for free for these families, to give them the insights, to give them the tools, and to give them the calmness to take one step at a time to make a little change in their child, but maybe even their whole family's way of looking at what food is and how it affects the gut to the brain connection. And we believe that the brain here is interconnected so deeply to our gut brain, and hopefully when this brain is served, then this brain will start functioning and help speech outcomes.
Yes, definitely. I'm so proud to be a part of this program because I think we're going to be able to do some incredible things. Because functional health, as incredible as it is, sometimes it just feels almost impossible for some families to work with these types of practitioners because it's usually out of pocket cost, which can quickly add up. So a lot of families are kind of just forced to and or choose to stay within that conventional model. So I think what you're doing, bringing in these opportunities for families who are a great fit to be a participant, for them to do this for free. I mean, that's incredible. I'm so excited for this program, and I think families are really going to benefit from it.
Right, and look, that's a goal of a nonprofit, is to provide
Mhm.
services that are either for free or lower cost than they would find elsewhere. And also, you don't have to be in the same town. That's the cool part about our nonprofit also. I mean, we have practitioners all over the country that are here to support you. And even if you live in a small town where you're not even able to get to those resources without driving an hour, we're giving this resource for you free of charge, online, and all you need is a grocery store nearby. And
Yeah.
now anything's, or maybe a farm even, that would be even more.
Oh, that would be even better. Yes, definitely. Yeah, and just the drive to want to participate, and I think that's enough. Yeah, it's great. So, can you walk us through what role diet and gut health might play in supporting children with apraxia, and what the research is showing so far from what you have found?
Right. So I look at it in very concrete form. If there is a piece of fruit on the counter and we know it has nutrients, we know it has value, it's grown in beautiful soil that doesn't have pesticides in it, that it comes to us, obviously it'd be best from your own yard or a farm nearby that has nutrient rich soil, right? Those are all things that are super valuable to our body. So, and I'm hoping I'm answering your question because, of course, that
Yeah.
caught me. So, anything from the earth, and here's my dog trying to talk to us.
It's always like
So,
that. Don't worry about it.
anything from the earth, anything that is, meat that is grass fed, protein that is pasture raised, those are things that to us sound sustainable for the body fuel itself with food. I truly believe that anything that has names that we can't pronounce on the label, or anything that has labels that aren't from the earth, those are things that we have to be super mindful and super aware that they can't really do our body good.
Yeah. No, I totally agree, and I think your dog agrees too.
And
Definitely.
this is not her bewitching hours, but maybe she wants to come sit up and come on. You might be a part of this craziness. Sorry, girls.
Yeah, no, it's we love dogs, and I think there's a lot of benefits to having dogs around kids too. But yeah, definitely, I think diet plays a huge role here, especially also when it comes to the gut microbiome. We just have to be very mindful so that we're actually supporting the good guys in the gut and not the bad guys, the cravings causing guys, and the ones who want sugar and carbs and processed foods. Because once we kind of quiet them down, our kids tend to do really well with real food. So there's ways around that. And I agree with you. I think seasonal food, the one that's grown nearby, is always a good option for us and our kids. So, in your work building community and connection for families, what are some of the stories, either from parents or children, that have deeply moved you or shaped your vision?
Well, we are fairly new, so I'm not going to have a list of families that, I believe that have shifted the needle yet. I think what I'm learning most of all is that families feel stressed. I
Hmm.
think what I find for my own daughter and her friends is that it's one more thing that they have to do to shift and to see if it works. We are trying things that are very new here. We know that it's not going to hurt them. I mean, we don't know, but we're assuming that fruit from the earth and veggies from the earth are not going to hurt them. And that if they can test these techniques to help their children eat better, have better sleep patterns, have less constipation. Because look, gluten is, I mean, look at what the name is. It starts with glue. I mean, of course, that to me says we should be careful about what we eat. I hear people taking lactose pills because they eat dairy. There's a reason that we shouldn't have those things. You can have these great stories, and we can't wait for those stories to come to us. I mean, that's gonna be the best part of working with families, is hearing them feel good that their children are sleeping, that they're not constipated, that they have better attention. So those are the stories we're looking forward to hearing. But we are very new. I mean, the nonprofit, launched a year ago, with the website just launching this June.
Yeah, yeah. So all these stories are yet to come, but we do know from different programs and from our own personal and professional experiences that these things do work and they work really well. So implementing them in this space, I think it's going to have great effect on kids' health. Yeah. So Apraxia Voice is striving to build research and resources that supplement existing speech therapy approaches. What are some of the most exciting innovations or studies you're currently supporting or exploring?
Wow. Well, we do have some partnerships. One with Documenting Hope, that they're doing a lot more research. What we found is that research is, I mean, not that we found, we knew that research is quite expensive. So by
Mhm.
us doing these educational programs, that's going to be information that we can then share with them. And that's our hope, is that we are going to be a beginning phase for other organizations that have deeper pockets, that are doing the research, even hopefully partnering with professors at universities that are doing other kinds of apraxia research. And we can give them this data, this information from our families, and really support them with the beginning stages. The next thing that we're going to be doing is a myofunctional, or excuse me, myofascial, and maybe some myofunctional, I shouldn't discount it, online classwork. And so our next goal is to then, besides our functional health educational program, to do these other things that can lead these families down a path where collectively they bring in some regulation modulation of, bouncing on a trampoline and getting their sillies out, and then bringing in the food, and then hope these families will do some diaries about how their life with their children is changing, and then we can then present.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that data is so important because, like you said, there's just not enough research supporting these types of, I guess, these types of treatment. So we hear about it all the time. There's a lot of case studies because kids improve. Some go into remission. I mean, there's incredible things happening with our kids when we support their entire body with this root cause approach. I love that you're trying to put it more into writing and to really have data to show how it's happening and at what rate and with how much success. I think it's going to be important so that we can make this type of treatment more standard and more mainstream. We need that type of support.
And Lena, also just as a side note, but there are other medical professionals that are becoming a collective force, like MAPS. They're having their big conference in North Carolina this March. I'm going to get online to, be a part of it on their Saturday program because there is a shift. And I know you see it. Look what just came out of the guidelines for the pyramid. There
Yeah.
is a shift now. And I think that if families can see that there is many Western doctors that are looking to support them in a different light,
Hmm.
I believe that we're on to something that's just supportive. I hope that we make big change, but I think we're here just to be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love what you mentioned. Yes, there's a big shift happening. Even with the vaccine recommendation, right? Going from like 78 vaccinations to I think 11. So the conventional medicine model, they're kind of shifting in the way that they're thinking and recommending what's healthy for children. And I think that conversation was just so deeply needed because of the rate at which chronic disease was and is still growing. So I am excited to see these changes and to see how education is going to change for conventional medicine doctors as well because they all want the best thing for their patients. All of them do. They just don't typically learn this whole child model, which I think is where we get into trouble a little bit.
Yeah, and I do believe that the Western doctors are just strained. The
Um,
way that they're pulled to support more and more patients every day
yeah,
to the bottom line numbers, it's taxing on them, and we have to give them some credit too.
yeah,
That's ideally, wouldn't it be fabulous if we could get all this other side, um, a functional health doctor covered under insurance? Like that to me, maybe we advocate for that and go to Congress for it. So, those are things that way down the line, if that's what our families are requesting, then let's do it. Find our way.
I'm a huge believer that light is one of the most powerful medicines for our kids and for us. That's why I love Bond Charge. Their blue light blocking glasses, red light therapy devices, and many other products are designed to support your circadian rhythm and help your family sleep and feel better naturally. In our modern world of screens and artificial light, these small shifts make a big difference. Calmer evenings, deep sleep, better focus, and happier moods. I use Bond Charge products every single day, and even my son has his own pair of blue light blocking glasses for evening story time. You can check out all their products at bondcharge.com and use code LENAL to save 15% off your purchase. And I think if there is a will, there is a way. So we'll make it happen for sure. Hopefully soon, though.
I
Because
know.
I feel like there's always this like ticking clock in the back of our minds because the older the child gets, kind of harder it is for them to reshape their brain. So the sooner the better so we can start getting this type of care to our kids as soon as they need it. Yeah, but there's a lot of promise out there and I think we're moving in the right direction.
100%.
Yeah. So nonprofits often face resource and awareness challenges. What have you found to be most effective strategies for expanding access to Apraxia Voice services and getting more professionals involved? And where are you kind of struggling with that? Where do you hope to take this next?
So if you had asked me a month ago, I would say funding,
Hmm.
but we've been lucky that we've made some really great partnerships. We do have a charity event back in Chicago every August, and now the money will be committed to Apraxia Voice. So we have some funds from that and this grant money. But I do believe that the challenges are really, and again, probably not something that Proxy of Voice will run through, is the research dollars. The federal government, from my understanding, has reduced funding for research. So I think just advocating and publicity, if we can s- spread the word out with more advocacy and more knowledge, more people will hear about it. I do have someone that has potentially has some connections for the Today Show and Good Morning America. If we could create the right program, which I think we had talked about before you came onto the board, of doing some work on the online classes and then trying getting on to those national TV outlets. Advocacy is probably the most important because think about families that don't even have the resources. We need to get the word out and, you know, people that I mean, that's probably the most critical piece is even finding you and finding Tori. Like our cog of our wheel has shifted because we have these great board members that are industry experts. And we're going to spread the word out, but we need more and more voices to help us do so.
We definitely need more. And I think once that entire program, the functional health education program, I think is shaped, then we're going to be able to present it to more people too. Because I mean, if I was a parent of a child with apraxia of speech, I would definitely want to be a part of it because this is something you can get. You're going to get this functional medicine approach support, this holistic approach support for your child without having to spend thousands of dollars. So if you're committed to it, then it can be such a beautiful thing and can really shape your child's health. So I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about this more as we create this program.
Thank you so much for all you're doing. It's amazing.
Well, thank you for inviting me on. I'm very excited to be a part of this, and I'm just very passionate about this as well. And given my background in speech and just picky eating in general, because as we talked about it today, up to 80% of kids with disabilities are picky eaters. And that is such a burden to have for parents and for the child as well. Because if you want them to get better and they're not really willing to step out of their food repertoire of sometimes just a beige diet, it's really hard and it has a huge impact on them moving forward with their health. So to me, it is something so deep, so important in my heart to help these kids, especially having a child who has picky tendencies. Like I know how hard it is.
It's so interesting. I don't think parents realize that the reason that their kids are picky is not because they're choosing to, it's their gut and the textures of the food. So, like, slowly, little by little, as you will be introducing these great resources to our families, they're going to want those foods. They're going to be excited for them, and that's the beauty of this, right?
Yes. That
Yeah,
is definitely the beauty of this because food is such a big part of our lives, right? Like we eat multiple times a day for like a typical person at least. So to have struggle around meals multiple times a day or towards like particular meals, it's so draining for families and it's so stressful for the kids too because they don't want to have these issues. Oftentimes, like you said, it's just their body's biology speaking out. It is something that's happening within them, and it's just a symptom of something else going on. So it's essentially them screaming, I need help. I need help here. So definitely, I'm excited about this and being able to work with more kids who need this type of support in families. I mean, I just could talk about this all day.
I know. You and me both. I think we have today.
Yes, I know. We've spoken for quite some time. So, looking ahead, what is your long term vision for Apraxia Voice and the broader landscape of support for children with apraxia and their families?
Well, gosh, I mean, it's so beautiful. The idea of being able to consistently support families with scholarships to receive this functional health educational program, to be able to showcase success stories, to then get more and more families to see that it can possibly work for them. And then on the other side of our mission and our pillar is to really support their physical well-being, being able to sleep better, being able to focus better. All those things, is a big circle to then support their speech. And I would imagine speech SLPs will then say thank you for all the things that we are supporting these families with
Yes.
to make their job easier because their job's hard. Their
It's
job
so
is
hard.
so hard to get these kids to learn how to speak. And I see
Yeah.
how our grandson struggles with his learning. And it's beautiful, the steps that he's made, but he's 8 and he can only put together a few words together. So we want to
Mm.
get him further along. And it's just like him and any other child with apraxia. The goal is to have them feel and see the light at the end of the tunnel. And
Def-
to be able to say, my kid can communicate, my kid could have a relationship, my kid could work at a job. And all those things are partially a very small part of things that we're hoping to present and support them on.
yeah, well, that is a beautiful goal. And I'm sure parents are very grateful for that, for the work that you're doing. So, my final question is the one I ask every guest. If you could offer one piece of wisdom to parents who want to raise healthier, more resilient children in today's world, what would it be?
Gosh, I wish I had my own advice when I was a new mom. I think just keep at it, keep showing them that food is fuel and it's good for them, but more than anything, make it a fun, exciting part of their day. Have them cook with you, have them look at the colors and compare colors, because getting them engaged in the actual food itself can change a million things in their health journey.
Yes, definitely. It's one of, I think, most important foundational things that we should be looking at when it comes to child's health.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, Deanna, thank you so much for coming on. If anybody wanted to find you and Apraxia Voice, where can they look?
So apraxiavoice.org or info at apraxiavoice.org. My name is Dhana Cohen, and I'm the executive director. I'm available at any time that you want to reach out. So thank you for your time.
Perfect. I'll make sure to put that in our show notes so everybody knows where to find you. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you, Lena, and I can't wait to continue our work.
Me too.
All right, take care.
Thanks so much for listening to the Livin'Sky podcast. If this episode resonated, please leave a quick 5-star review or share it with another parent who'd love it too. It really helps more families find the support that they need. And don't forget to join my newsletter at linalivinsky.com for more tips and free guides. Sending a little sunshine to your kitchen today. See you next time.